Anyone who spends enough time playing gacha games will tell you that collaborations are inevitable. And when I first heard that Reverse 1999, a wacky gacha game that literally lets you play as a dog, an apple, a UFO, and so on, was now planning to collab together with Assassin's Creed, well, that got my attention. And now, the day has come. The collaboration is finally live, and in today's video, I'll be sharing my thoughts about it, as someone who has been playing Reverse 1999 since it first initially launched. I'll review Ezio Auditore as the new playable character. He's the main protagonist from Assassin's Creed 2 game, and I'll also take a look at how this collab was executed, maybe even give it a rating, and I'll share my overall first impressions. Full disclosure though, this video is sponsored by the developers, which I'm thankful for. Anyway, so let's get one thing straight first. Despite the fact my channel is called Gacha Gamer, I am a gamer, and I have played all the main Assassin's Creed games, except for Black Flag, which I know, that's a heresy to say. Still, the last time I played the AC trilogy was back when I was a teenager, and when I think about it, that's like 16 years ago. So forgive me, but I barely remember anything about the story. I do remember Leonardo da Vinci and how funny he was. Well, to my surprise, in this collab, basically through some means the main cast travels back to the year 1476, and one of the characters, a literal talking apple, gets separated from the others and ends up with Da Vinci, who decides to dissect the apple because he is giving off this golden color, which to Da Vinci means this could be one of the relics the Templars are after. Now, this is actually a pretty cool way to set up the initial story because, as it just so happens, I do remember the pieces of Eden, or specifically apples of Eden, that are like these powerful technological MacGuffins used throughout human history, and the idea that a talking apple from Reverse 1999 would be one of these relics makes total sense. Well, at least to Da Vinci. Anyway, after beating up Leonardo, he actually teams up with the cast, and then we also meet up with Ezio, and there's a bunch of story stuff that happens, but I won't go into it or share the spoilers. I think it was a pretty decent event story, definitely one of the better collab stories I've seen in a gacha game compared to others, but, you know, it's the classic Assassins versus Templars tidbit of the story. Now, this main event story is experienced on this cool anime screen, which, if you don't know what that is, I don't either, but it's the stuff that allows people from our time to experience simulations of their ancestors through some kind of DNA. So, a dude uses animus and becomes an assassin in a simulation. Still, besides the event story, there's this Into the Shadows game mode. You take on a limited number of missions in different parts of Italy, earn special currency, and use it in Villa Auditore to upgrade buildings and make your assassin stronger on the missions. It's a pretty cool callback to AC2 base management. And what's interesting is that besides Ezio, the other assassins here are some of the Reverse 1999 cast. I especially liked Apple because in one of the mini-games when using these characters, Apple can help recover action points, which I just always spammed on Ezio, since he was the best assassin for me to complete these board gaming missions. There was also some combat stuff, pretty easy and relaxing stuff, and you can even use Assassin's Creed themed items on the enemies or teammates. And then finally, for lore enjoyers, you could obtain a bunch of informational snippets and piece them together, which can be reviewed here. Other than that, there's also this Stage Beyond Sunlight event, which had this weird Firenze contracts minigame. I didn't understand it quite well, but kept winning, so that's fine by me. And it's like a small daily task anyway, but then there's also like some of these goals you can reach and claim rewards, and there's even some community goals that give rewards. It's fine. Still, I want to talk about the collab character, my boy Ezio Auditore. And I'm just gonna admit this now, he is probably one of the best collab characters I have ever experienced in a gacha game, and it mainly has to do with these weapon loadouts. There's nobody else in the game that has this mechanic. The actual weapons that characters equip are called Psycubes, and even Ezio can use it, but these specific 6 weapons which he has to pick 2 of, only he has access to them. And the reason I love this so much has to do with the fact it can be played in so many different teams, because each primary weapon dictates his playstyle. So for example, if going with the Venetian Falchion, Ezio will do a lot of follow-up attacks, and it's my personal favorite playstyle so far. But if going with the Condottiero Warhammer, then he has much better ultimate uptime and can spam it more. Finally, the Captain's Sword is basically for poison teams, since he will be applying it as well. And then, get this, every secondary weapon provides unique benefits to each of the primary weapon. So the combinations are pretty insane. Each playstyle of primary weapon can also have have a sub playstyle with the secondary weapon. And then yeah, as for Ezio's abilities, which are these cards here, he can either perform a simple attack on a single enemy or use this counter stance card, which taunts the enemy, and whenever anyone in the team is attacked, Ezio hits back hard. Finally, his ultimate is unlike others. There's this resource called Moxie that you need 5 points of to unleash every unit's ultimate card, but Ezio has synchronization instead, which he builds up in various ways, and then when it's full, he goes into this cool cutscene, and then you actually can pick these QTE buttons on either left or right. Left side deals more damage to enemies with less than 50% HP, while right side deals more damage to enemies with, you've guessed it, more than 50% HP. So it's like a little mini-game. You press those buttons a couple of times and then Mr. Auditore ends the ultimate with a big final hit. He's fun, what can I say? And I feel like he hits like a truck. Now, I'll be honest, I am coming back to the game after taking a long break, so I'm not sure what his power level actually is, but from what I've gathered so far, he is pretty powerful and a great pull for newbies. Speaking of which, the banner actually has an interesting pity counter. At 100, 160, 220, and 280 pulls, you'll just receive his free copy. No, this is not an idle game, you don't need max dupes to make them work, and I am perfectly fine experiencing the game with just a single copy I won. In fact, the counter does not reset, so as you can see, I summoned 80 times so far on the banner, but I still get his copy again after 20 pulls, and so on. Now, because this is a gacha game, we gotta talk about the pull economy. As a returning or new player, doesn't matter, the collab seems to be bringing a lot to the table. From everything I've gathered so far, I believe you can get up to 55 free pulls during the collaboration, which to me sounds quite a lot. And this actually includes a free monthly pass they're giving away. The catch is that it doesn't give you the one-time rewards you get by purchasing it, but even without them, that's pretty generous giveaway. On top of that, the current event stage I'm grinding, where you can dump the stamina, also has a decent event shop where you can get a bunch of materials that are especially relevant for maxing out Ezio. And also, because this collab is split into 2 parts, the first one is collab with Assassin's Creed 2, while the second part will be a collab between Assassin's Creed Odyssey, starting from August 28th. And in it, you can even obtain Alexios with all of its dupe copies, which is pretty cool, while you'll be able to pull for Cassandra in the gacha. But yeah, those are the limited rewards. And then the last thing we have are the limited time costumes. I like them. Obviously, most of them are paid skins, although I hear you can obtain Apple's collab costume by just doing the event. However, I will say this, every character has a free alternate costume when you reach a certain level with them, so that's something I always liked about the game. I mean, even my man Ezio has a new fresh look you can get after leveling him up. Overall, I like the collab so far. The first part I've experienced definitely felt quite nostalgic to me, and Ezio feels like an absolute monster when it comes to crushing the enemies, and I really think they've managed to nail the theme of this collab because it feels especially relevant for Reverse 1999, a game about time travel, well, reverse time travel, but still. I found it funny how Leonardo da Vinci and Apple interact together. Ezio obviously is a man of coolness, but even he can slip up when met with the mighty force of an anime girl invading your timeline, and so I think it's worth getting back or starting fresh in Reverse 1999. You can click my link in the description to download the game. As I said, there's tons of rewards you can claim right now, and I would definitely try and get Ezio because not only is he strong, but also has multiple playstyles. So yeah, thanks for watching, click the link in the description, help support my channel, and I'll see you next time. Oh yeah, and I rate this collab 8 Ezio's abs out of 10.